a happy ending to Dimension 20's Livenation headache, Critical Role numbers are up, and the board game movie no one expected.
Did not see that coming!
Welcome to Tabletop Tuesday, our first news rundown of the week. Today we're talking about Dimension 20, a host of licensed RPG projects, and the new Monopoly movie. Now remember, if you like these kinds of videos, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons so we can keep making them. Now, on to the news.
Let's begin.
People tuned in for the latest episode of Critical Role. Twitch viewership for the latest episode was up by about 15% compared to the previous month's worth of episodes, with more viewers tuning in throughout this latest episode as the fight between Odahan Thule and Bell's Hells continued. Additionally, over here on YouTube, the latest episode is trending at twice the view rate of the last several episodes, with 80,000 views in just 9 hours, compared to the last few episodes getting about 60,000 views in the first 2 days. Now obviously, last week's episode was must-see streaming, but the big question is whether that will be enough to keep things going in the right direction. We'll probably talk more about this in a later video.
Ideally, it'll come very, very soon.
Dimension 20 has ended dynamic pricing at their Madison Square Garden show, and in all future shows. Last week we mentioned that Dimension 20's upcoming Gauntlet in the Garden live show had tickets selling for more than $2,000, thanks to Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing. Over the weekend, Dropout released a statement stating that they were unaware that they could opt out of dynamic pricing, but had done so, and would be implementing a lottery system to guarantee that some buyers could have access to cheap tickets. The statement also noted that the average price for tickets was $119, which meant that hopefully not too many of the 15,000 people who bought tickets for this live event had to pay the massive dynamic pricing options. In related news, apparently the US Justice Department is suing Livenation for violating antitrust laws. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, which hopefully seems like an obvious win for the average American. Finally, something fell our way.
It's about damn time.
Jon Snow will not be returning to HBO. Kit Harington confirmed that the announced Jon Snow-focused Game of Thrones spin-off is quote-unquote on the shelf due to not being able to find the right story. Now, one would think that announcing a Jon Snow spin-off meant that a story was firmly in place, but Harington said otherwise. Currently, it's off the table because we all couldn't find the right story to tell that we were all excited about enough. So we decided to lay down tools with it for the time being, Harington told Screen Rant in an interview. There may be a time in the future where we return to it, but at the moment, no, it's firmly on the shelf. Luckily, there are several other Game of Thrones projects still in the works. They just announced that Duncan Egg casting, so don't worry people, there's plenty of Game of Thrones TV still to come.
I'm happy for you.
The Planet of the Apes is getting an RPG. Magnetic Press has announced that they are developing a Planet of the Apes tabletop role-playing game, featuring the ability to create playable apes, humans, or mutant characters, with lore pulled straight from the original 5 Planet of the Apes movies. The project is being headed by Andrew E.C. Gasca, with several writers from novels, comics, and RPGs also joining the team. Pre-orders for the game will launch in the not-too-distant future.
You damn dirty ape!
In other licensed RPG news, Cryptozoic has announced a Kickstarter for a 5e version of Adventure Time. This project was originally announced as having a bespoke yes-and system, but Cryptozoics later said that a 5e adaptation was always in the cards and that they were pivoting so that the 5e project was the main focus. In a statement on Kickstarter, Cryptozoic noted that Adventure Time drew inspiration from early D&D adventures, that's true, and so they wanted to utilize the popular 5e system for the RPG. Now, there's no word on whether the Yes and version, which we tried out and enjoyed last year at Gen Con, will ever see print, and the Kickstarter makes no mention of it. The Adventure Time 5e Kickstarter has raised over $200,000 at the time of recording.
Mathematical!
Dungeons & Dragons released a rare official trailer for the new Vecna Eve of Ruin adventure, featuring friend of the channel Neil Newbin as the voice of Vecna. And while it doesn't tell us much about the adventure, it does shed some light on Vecna's goals and motivations, so let's take a look.
To transform your life for the right price. An eye for an eye. Flesh for a crown. Wretched mortality for glorious eternity. Rise with me. For who can stop a god?
And finally, we're getting another board game movie. Last week, Lionsgate announced that Margot Robbie was developing a movie based on the classic board game Monopoly. No word on what exactly the story would be, but Robbie's team is apparently approaching the movie with, and I quote, a clear point of view. A fun reminder, by the way, that Monopoly was originally designed to teach the horrors of monopolies, and actually had an alternate rule set where all the players benefited by breaking up monopolies in the game. Then the Parker brothers ditched those rules and changed everything and turned the game into one of the capitalistic juggernauts of the board game industry.
Capitalism is strange that way.
Well, that's all the news we have for you today. Be sure to let us know what your favorite story was in the comment section, and as always, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.